All right, welcome to a episode of Carpool Movie Review. I'm Elijah.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Nate.
All right, let's get moving.
What movie are we talking about?
We are going to talk about Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the jungle.
I really respected the fact that they waited for the end credits
Before they played that song.
before they played the song.
I'm sorry, but the trailer with that song in it was what made me go see this movie.
It was pretty
true.
epic,
Yeah.
though.
You know, like, if you're gonna make a movie that has that as part of the title and you don't use that song, what are you doing? I mean, like, you need to reevaluate your life.
Exactly. So, just as a warning, yes, this is Carpool Movie Review. This is not going to be a spoiler-free review. We're going to spoil the movie because we just talk about stuff. We don't have this pre-scripted.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, then you need to get out more.
Yeah.
Basically.
I even have a 4-month-old daughter, and I got to see it, so
No excuses.
Exactly.
no excuses.
No excuses.
Now, if we're talking about Black Panther, it's hard to get into a showing of that.
I've seen it twice. It's not that hard.
We got lucky. I mean, we did go to a theater, though, and saw it at, 2 o'clock on a Sunday, and it was almost sold out.
Well, we did also only pay $4 for our tickets, so I can't complain.
It's true. So, Jumanji, how do you feel this compared to the original? Obviously, this is a...
In my book, this was a completely different story.
Okay, yep.
In my opinion, Zathura is more of a sequel to Jumanji than this was.
It's true. Apparently, a lot of people are split on how they feel about Jumanji. Jumanji versus Zathura.
Well, they're supposed to be made by the same game designer, whose whole goal is to get kids who have no perspective on how good they have it perspective. It's teaching kids that, you know, you need to not just be self-absorbed, and that, you know, self-sacrifice is sometimes necessary for self-growth.
So it's like Saw, just like a kid's version.
Yeah, it's Kitty's Saw. Yeah.
It's getting soft. Would you like to play a game?
I mean,
No,
when
you
you're
are
talking
playing this game, and there's not a dang thing you can do about
When
it.
you're talking
That's
about
basically
it, though,
Jumanji.
they're doing the same thing, just one has a lot more gore and killing than the
I don't
other
know,
one.
this Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, had a fair amount of gore in it. I mean, when the scene where she gets eaten by a hippo, that was pretty...
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that coming. And can we talk for a minute about how awesome Jack Black did playing a teenage girl?
I like Kent even with this place.
That was the best thing. I was so glad to see him in a movie again, because I haven't seen him in a movie in a long time.
The rumor is that he never broke character on set.
I believe it. It's Jack Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Can you imagine having lunch off camera with teenage girl Jack Black?
I would love that. I would pay for that. But it was good.
I guess
seeing
technically
him.
we did because we went and watched it. But
yeah.
I mean, it's good seeing him in a different role, because he always has like the same rocker role, like School of Rock,
Yeah.
Tenacious D. So seeing him in a different role, it was refreshing, because I know I think
King
he's
Kong
a great
is
actor.
different.
That's true.
I felt like I saw the internal motivation of his character in King Kong. Because it's the same outfit, same
It really
environment. No,
is.
I'm kidding. But, you know.
No, he pretty much is dressed the same, short of just being a filmmaker who cares about nobody but himself. I mean...
Yeah.
I feel like Peter Jackson was really, really self-casting with Jack Black.
Now, can we say, because it's so subtle that I didn't even think about it, but Nick Jonas really did hold his own in that
He really
movie.
did, and you didn't notice really hard that it was Nick Jonas.
Yeah, it was like
He did a good job of being understated.
It was natural. It was like he was good.
all of the big name actors did a very good job of not playing themselves and playing the teenage characters.
Except for The Rock, because you put The Rock in that situation and get that smolder.
I thought he did a really good
Yeah.
job, though, because the smolder is more of the video game characters
Yes.
thing than it is the kids thing.
Yeah, he did a great job of having having the moments of the character kicking in on his actions, and then the kid being himself freaking out. And
Don't cry. Don't cry. It's gonna be okay.
there's only one part that I noticed, though, in the beginning, where he was the kid freaking out, and it was
Right.
when the guy shows up in the car to get him into the car,
Yeah.
and they're being chased. He was playing the kid, and then he made sure everyone went before him, which was not something that the kid would do, because he would just run screaming into the car. Other than that,
That's not quite established, but maybe. I can see, I can see
Well,
that
he definitely
point.
doesn't he take off running the other direction at one point?
I
Because
feel
he's
like he
afraid.
does.
When they're getting chased, but I read that more as he didn't realize how fast and strong and endurance he was, because that was the first time they're all running all out, like every man for themselves.
Yeah.
And he didn't. It's not really his fault that he didn't realize that the two other guys like have a weakness of endurance and cake. They can't keep up, and you're
That's
like,
my favorite when Kevin Hart eats the cake. Oh, okay. Well, nothing happened. We're all good. Explosion!
boom! And well,
that was awesome.
the character development point that I really liked is what they did with the teenage girl, the selfie girl.
Yeah, she definitely had the best story arc. Which
Yeah.
again, props to Jack Black for pulling it off, because it's gotta be difficult to pull off being a teenage girl and being a middle-aged man.
I think it was really respectful because I mean we don't spend as much time with the kids side as we do with the adults, the Avatar side.
Well, the kids do a really good job of establishing the characters.
But they
too.
blend. They all tag team pretty well. So I mean, we had a small establishment. The kids set it up. The adults carried the emotional core of it, and then the wrap up was the kids again. And I thought they did a good job. And I thought it was an interesting point that Selfie Girl's moment of discovery was in not being selfish, and it wasn't finding love with like
giving up her
abandoned
other
guy.
life.
It was more like
I really liked that they didn't end up together.
yeah.
Because traditionally in Jumanji, like, what's his face goes back to his own time.
Mm-hmm.
Alan
Yep.
goes back to his own time.
And I felt like for example, the only time that I felt like we were very heavy-handed in the dialogue, it felt like it had a lot more weight was when they did that shout out to Robin Williams.
yeah,
When they had the on the place saying it was Alan.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just living in the house he built.
Alan Parrish.
Alan Parrish. And
Took me a second to remember what his name was.
yeah. But I thought like that was like a thicker dialogue line. But if you're gonna put it in there, given everything that you know with the history, where you kind of it takes you a little bit out of the moment.
I like how they didn't hit it over the head, because none of the kids would know about Alan Parrish.
Yeah.
Or even would know about the story of Alan Parrish anymore, because history got changed when Alan Parrish got sent back.
But what that really does establish, though, is you got an inside look on the Welcome to the Jungle of what he went through in that jungle that time. That was the environment he was living in all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but the theory is also is like Jumanji, it wants to scare you and make you think that you can die, but you really can't.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as much as they wanted to make you think Nick Jonas' character could die, Jumanji didn't put him in that situation until there was someone to save him.
That's true. And it didn't like all of a sudden he got hit by a mosquito and then instantly his life was gone. It was doing that slow fade thing, which never did it before, so it was somebody else giving a choice.
Exactly. Because, like, before, when one of them died, it was just like there was nothing you could do.
Yeah.
Like, they were dead.
Yeah.
Which was pretty dark for the two old friends to have the argument in the game and shove each other off a cliff. That was pretty dark.
It was dark. And I don't feel like that's probably one of the things I didn't feel like they completely got back was the redemption point of that.
Those two friends. Well, and I kind of respect that, because in high school, the older you get, the more you realize that some of these friends that you had that were a big part of your development are not going to be lifelong friends.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job of making it seem like they were acquaintances. They weren't mad at each other anymore. That they were friends, but I
kind of like Breakfast Club style.
Yeah, they didn't need to make some big point of them being friends. They were hanging out together, which shows that they were friends. That was enough said. Their good focus was on the kid with, I can't remember her name, but that love interest happening.
They didn't do it weird where they tried to set everybody up. They had one focus on them.
Well, and going back to it with Alan, his name carved in, I think that was a good thing of paying like homage to the old movies, but them trying to be like not trying to do exactly what the old movie did and recreating that. They were doing their own thing.
I really respected the idea that Jumanji would evolve with the times.
Yeah.
That Jumanji was designed as it really truly is for the kids of whatever era it is.
Now that's an interesting point. That almost brings us full circle here because we're not going to spend much longer on this. But then the ending. The interesting thing was they took the console out back and they legitimately smashed it.
I don't think we've seen the last of Jumanji.
Well, see,
Because
I
traditionally
feel like
the kids buried Jumanji. and then it would show back up. But
or they put it
we've
in a
never
river,
seen
or
somebody actually straight up demolish Jumanji with a hammer or with a bat, or kick it to pieces. So I would wager that the console itself isn't Jumanji, it was the card, and I don't think they destroyed the card.
That's a good point. Even though the console was something that was obviously there, so they kept some of those aesthetics in there. But you're right, like the cartridge was Jumanji, and that leaves you some wiggle room on whether or not it continued or not. I feel like they ended the story in a way that if we never see another Jumanji installment, we're okay. Yeah.
But if we do, it's not going to be like, but they destroyed it.
I felt like, but see, it was interesting because like with the other Jumanji movie, it was open enough that it was way open.
Yeah.
And then this one felt much more of a definitive close on that chapter versus the previous one. I felt like that jarred me just a hair. Now, did we stay all the way through on the credits to see if there's a post-credit scene?
I did not stay.
I did not either. So I feel like I dropped the ball there.
However, I didn't expect there to be.
Because Jumanji, the first one, was the first one where we had kind of a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
There was a mid-credit slash post-credit scene where it came back up.
And isn't Ferris Bueller's Day Off credited as one of the first movies to really do that?
To really do it. But Jumanji, I mean, there was a big gap there that Jumanji did it. And then I'm sure there's other movies that have done it. And then, obviously Marvel's the famous one to keep that tradition going alive.
Yeah, where it's these one-shots that really further the story.
Yeah.
Which, that is a testament to Disney's storytelling smarts. Because they know how to do one scene with characters that you may even not know and continue the story.
Mm-hmm.
And make you want more.
Yeah.
Like, that's an art that not a lot of people have in their wheelhouse right there.
So overall, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. What are we giving it here?
It's definitely a solid I would buy.
I feel that too.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would buy it. I would watch it a bunch of times. Are we going ratings, numbers?
Let's do 1 out of 10, because that's usually what we do.
1 out of 10. Where are you at with out of 10? 10 being best, 1 being like, yeah, I wouldn't even pick it up out of the $5 bin.
I'll give it a 9. I thought it was really good. 9,
Yeah,
9.5.
I kind of concur, because it wasn't a perfect movie.
No.
But it was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Which is almost more important for that sort of genre. Because the original Jumanji was so much fun.
Yeah.
With Robin Williams and all that. And it was a dark story.
Yeah.
They had a good comedic relief to it. And that's really what Jumanji was in my brain, is that it was a fun adventure story. And Zathura did that as well. If you haven't seen Zathura, you should go see Zathura. I'm not going to spoil
A lot of people are up and down on Zathura. I really enjoyed
It's great.
Zathura.
Kristen Stewart's best
Actually, yes.
best role ever.
Best role since...
And Josh Hutchinson's probably best role ever, too. And you
Bridge to
can't be
Terabithia,
mad
man.
at Dax
Bridge-
Shepard showing up in it either.
That's
the
true.
whole cast is great.
That is true. Now,
It's a great cast.
I do maintain Josh Hutchinson's best place is probably Bridge to Terabithia.
That
Bridge
was
to
a great movie.
Terabithia was a very good movie, but it's also very sad.
Yeah, it's if you're struggling with emotional triggers, that is not the movie to watch in a low moment. I'm just saying.
No, do not watch that, because that movie is going to make you so depressed, because you think, oh, they're going to come back as... No, they make it just not happy.
Nothing is happy after.
No.
It's brutal.
However, the storytelling, the cinematography in that thing was so good.
It was very
for
good.
what it was.
But go back and watch
yeah.
it. The effects do not hold up.
Well, of course they don't. I mean, but
And that's kind of upsetting, but...
yeah, well...
nothing really holds up from that era, though, as far as effects. I mean, go back and watch
we made
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I mean, only some of those
That's
effects
true.
really hold up.
That is true. I mean, Prince Caspian to me
Prince
holds
Caspian
up better.
holds up pretty well, yeah.
But there was
But
this,
they ruined the story.
there was just that air. It's like Jumanji, and to me, I give Jumanji a pass because it's supposed to be a little bit artificial because it's coming from a game.
Well, exactly. But they did a very good job with living inside the world they created. It's like what we talked about with Batman versus Superman, consistency.
That's true.
Or
That's
Justice
true.
League. We don't care if it looks somewhat hokey, as long as it's consistent and the story's good.
Let me go across, because technically I can't go across this thing. Come on! There we go. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to agree. I'm going to give it a 9 8.5 because I have a real big deal here with, you know, giving it a perfect score, but I don't see many flaws in that
I
story.
mean, the only movie that I could really give a perfect score would be Back to the Future.
However, I got to give them some props here because even though some people might feel it's inappropriate, that is the most accurate description of how trying to explain what it's like to stand up and pee in a movie to a girl that's ever been put on film.
No, it hasn't. That was a great thing.
Which,
That was
going
hilarious.
through potty training with a toddler and then my wife trying to go, how do you explain this to your son? And, you know, we have
I
these
don't
internal
think-
discussions.
I don't think it was ever really explained accurately. You just kind of find your own way.
You kind of do it. It's
Yeah.
kind of what they tell you. Okay, well, you do this, and that's a rule. And it was good. I mean, other than, like, what is it? It's not She's the Man. What's the one with Rob Schneider that was, like, worthless, but it had that one scene?
Oh,
I remember you talking
The
about
Hot Chick.
The
That's
Hot
what it
Chick,
was.
yeah.
There's a movie that would never get made these days.
oh yeah.
No.
Anyways, signing off. This is Carpool Movie Review. We will see you next time. Coming back from the movies.